What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Shoe Podcast. I'm your co-host, Ryan Landry.
I'm your co-host, Tanner Young.
Coming to you live from downtown Lafayette, except it's not live, but mere feet away, where a couple weeks from now, we'll have the Barousse Invitational. So we thought no more appropriate guest to have on the show than the one, the only, Daniel Barousse. Thank you for coming on the show, man.
Thank y'all. Thank y'all for having me. Appreciate it.
Great to have you here.
Thank you.
So a little bit of context for people. We met, well, I've been following you online for like what feels like forever now, but I think we first met at the SB Jordan 4 release that happened earlier this year. I was trying to think. I couldn't remember us meeting before that then.
I don't know. It was either there like in the shop one time.
Might have been.
I might have bumped into you in the shop in Baton Rouge, but I don't know. I definitely remember the Jordan release.
That's the first time I remember because I'd come back later in the day after the immediate release. And I knew you from following online, but I walk in and there's a guy shouting at people to do tricks and with a handful of cash. And I was like, that's Daniel Barousse. But it was like encouraging shouting. You weren't like soccer mom or dance mom.
Exclaiming.
They gave me money and they're like, just go give people money to do tricks. And I was like, awesome.
Not a bad job to have.
I'll stoke them out. Yeah. I think I hurt myself. Typical. Couldn't skate at the moment.
Wouldn't be a skate event if you hadn't.
Dude, it seems that way.
Yeah. So thank you again for coming on the show, man. Really appreciate it. Looking forward to talking about a bit of your history with sneakers, skate shops, but also a lot of what you've got going on right now with woodworking. So for everyone out there listening, watching that might not know, can you tell us just a little bit about who you are, where you grew up?
So my name is Daniel Barousse. I'm from Lafayette, Louisiana. I was born here. I lived here till I finished high school, and then I moved to Baton Rouge to go to LSU and work at the Baton Rouge Rukus. And finished up LSU, then got hired by Volcom and moved out to Austin, Texas, where I lived for 5 years and traveled like 80% of the time all over the country. And then I got scooped up by another company. While working for that company, I convinced them to let me work remote for a year before that was like a thing. And I convinced them to let me live in a van. They wanted me to like take on the entire West Coast, and I was kind of burnt out on flying back and forth from working at Volcom. So I was like, man, how could I do this in a way that's sick? So I just thought of like kind of simplifying life and living in a van. So yeah, over the course of 9 months, I convinced that company to like let me live in a van and work remote 100% of the time. Bought a van sight unseen, and that was my first woodworking project, and that like is how I fell in love with woodworking. And then fast forward, while living in the van, traveling the country, working for that company sold and everybody got let go, including myself. And I needed to decide what I wanted to do with my life. I had job offers on the table from a few people. I was interviewing with some good companies, but nothing was like lighting my soul on fire. So kind of in this like little limbo state, just thinking about what I wanted to do, I like woke up one morning at like 3 a.m. and had this crazy internal pull to bike across the country. I'd been like biking around a lot every day. I was biking like 20, 30 miles a day, and I'd go skate parks in whatever city I was living in my van at the time. And yeah, dude, so like 5 days later, after waking up at 3 a.m, I left. I biked from Denver, Colorado to Austin, Texas. And on that bike ride, I just like decided, I just thought about what I wanted to do with my life. And I went backwards. I was like, if I was a billionaire and I had all the money in the world, where I had all the time in the world and I didn't have to worry about time, how would you spend your day? Yeah. Like, what would I do with my time? And I thought like skateboarding, biking, and I want to make cool shit out of wood for my friends. And kind of fast forward through like, you know, another like few life steps, and that's exactly what I do every day.
Here you are today.
Yeah.
Man.
So, and now I'm just like at the point where I'm just like, okay, I can do, like in a selfish way, I'm good. Like I can do me for the rest of my life, but that's not satisfying. I'm like, how can I get to a point where I can create opportunity for the ones that I love and make it to where they can do what they want to do? So that's the mission I'm on now. Along the way, I realized that like I left Lafayette because I didn't think that there was opportunity here and it wasn't cool as a kid. So I have this like weird socioeconomic responsibility that I feel to make Lafayette cool. So that's like everything encapsulated with what I'm trying to do.
Here's the crazy thing is I feel like in those 2 minutes, in that 120 seconds, you've lived like 5 lives that we could do 5 different episodes on right here.
I feel like it, dude. Yeah. I feel like I feel like I've lived more than the average person my age for sure.
Yeah.
I've crammed like, I have this like crazy fear that I'm going to wake up when I'm 60 and feel like I didn't do enough. So like, I just try to do and
squeeze it all in.
You got to make it happen now.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like pretty terrible at relaxing and slowing down. Like it's like an issue sometimes. I'm actually horrible at it. My lady helps me like chill, but like if I'm by myself, like my head is like, dude, you're blowing it. You got to be like doing something.
Yeah. You got to stay busy with something.
Yeah.
Like I said, when you're 60, you'll have all the time to do nothing.
No, dude, I don't think that's going to go away. I think I'm going to wake up at 60 and be like, bro, I can't wake up at 80. And then just be like going. And, you know, maybe, I don't know. It's like it's both a blessing and a curse, a superpower and a weakness, I would say.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah.
So, yeah. But there's a lot of experience in there. And, yeah, any one of those like topics,
Yeah.
you know, I have like literal, like that year I lived in my van or year and a few months I lived in my van.
Insanity.
Dude, it felt like it was 5 years.
Yeah.
It really felt like 5 years, the longest year of my life. Because, like, think about it. Like, you know, when you're young, like, time moves slowly.
Very.
You're like, dude, 6th grade, whole chapter. It was like 9 months, dude.
Yeah.
Well, the reason for that, there's an evolutionary reason I learned. And I use it as like a life hack. So when you're young, you don't know what you don't need to pay attention to. You don't know what you can ignore. So your brain processes everything. Your brain functions just like a computer. And like, think about it. You're on your laptop and you open up 20 tabs. What's going to happen to your computer?
Yeah.
It's gonna run
bogging down and slowing.
It's gonna run slowly because it's got more information to process.
Yeah.
Well, dude, life's the same way. Your brain's the same way. When you're young, everything's new. You don't know that you don't need to worry about that dead end street on the right. You don't know that you can ignore the Gordon McKernan sign.
You can't, though.
100th time.
You want
know?
to, but you can't.
You don't know that. So, like, your brain sees it all and it takes it in because it's all new. Well, that's the secret. That's the key. So, like, if you experience new, your brain doesn't know that it, like, yo, I don't need to look to the left because that's a dead end street. So you look to the left and you process it. Well, every day that I lived in my van was a totally, like, it was an adventure.
Yeah,
it was
every
crazy.
day.
Like, I'd wake up in the morning in a new city and I'd be like, okay, where's the gym that I can go shower at? Never been there before. Got to figure that out. Okay,
Yeah.
where's the new skate park? Like, okay, I
Yeah.
got to go see these accounts that I never met. And it was just like that for a year straight. And like literally every day was just jam packed full of newness and experience.
Everything's new. Yeah.
So that whole time, just in that one piece of like whatever, felt like 5 years. And now I use that. I'm like, okay, cram as much new shit into my life as possible and slow it down. And what happens is like, dude, we're not even through this year yet. And this year feels like 3 years. Because I've just done so much just in the last like 7-8 months.
Yeah,
it's
for
been
sure.
nuts. So yeah, there's a lot there.
Yeah. Well, I think that's also one of the reasons why I was so excited for you to come on the show. Because I remember when we talked at the Jordan 4 event, I think you were the first to admit, you were like, I'm not the biggest sneakerhead. Like, I'm not up to date, keeping up with everything. And I was like, that's fine. Because from my view, watching you on social media, there's so many people that I think would, probably categorize themselves as an entrepreneur, a multi-hyphenate, a jack of all trades, whatever you want to call it. But to me, what's so interesting about you is I feel like you're one of the few people who, if I look at every aspect of what you're doing in a vacuum, whether it's woodworking, skateboarding, biking, or something like that, if I look at it in a vacuum, that could seem like what you're doing full time. And so I think that's
cool.
what's so interesting to me is that you have your hand in all these different projects, but it's not like you're kind of casually doing each one. You're doing each one with such full commitment and dedication.
That's like, again, like the superpower and weakness.
time,
Like,
yeah.
I don't know how. It's like, it's why I can't ever touch like hard drugs. It's like I'm 0 or 100.
You'd be the
bro.
best at it.
Well, that's why you need coffee at 5:40 in the morning.
Yeah.
Dude.
Okay, we need the coffee shops to open because I have to pack everything into 14 hours.
Yeah, I really do. I don't know how to, like, I'm 0 or 100, dude. And it's one of the reasons, like, I was talking with a friend the other day and he's been skydiving a bunch, and I have another friend who's been doing it and now does wingsuits. Shout out Draco from here. He's sick.
There you go.
But I was like, man, that'd be so cool. But I literally don't have the capacity for another passion.
Yeah, to
I
squeeze
was like, I
another
need
one
to
in.
stay away. Like,
Yeah.
I'm like, I can't, dude. Like, I already like just cram my life so full to try to just juice as much out of this lifetime as possible. I don't know. I just don't want to wake up one day and feel like I didn't do enough.
Yeah.
You know, like I really want to live as much as possible, and it's wild. The more that I do, and the more places that I go, and the more people that I meet, it's like, it's not like it satisfies it. It makes it more where I'm like, holy smokes, there's
Like wood in the fire. There's so much more out here.
There's so much more shit I need to see. There's so many amazing people out there I need to meet. There's so many cool things to do. It's like, I don't know. It's a weird conundrum that I find myself in. So.
Taking it back a step, is there anything in your childhood that you sort of can look back and attribute that dedication and passion to? And in any part, do you play that to skateboarding? Because when I think about it, skateboarding as a sport is one of those ones where you've got to be so full send and commit and get willing to get knocked down 99 times to land at once.
Yeah. I think, I remember my dad telling me this story. Like, my dad loved baseball. He was just like, great baseball player. He's a super good athlete when it comes to like baseball and running. And I remember like every night before bed, I'd be like, Dad, tell me a story. And he'd like tell me some story from his life or whatever. And he told me this story. I remember when I was real young about he came here for college, moved to Lafayette for college. He's from New Orleans. And he goes to try out for baseball, for college baseball. And dude, he walks up to the field and he saw everybody playing. He was like, dude, these guys are too good, and didn't try out.
Oh, wow.
He didn't try out. He walked away. And then he played baseball like in like pickup leagues and church leagues and shit like that, like for years. But that was like kind of the end. And in a weird, crazy way, like I didn't even know it until a few years ago, once I was like conscious enough to like realize, like
think back on it and reflect.
That how much that affected me. Like I was like, damn, dude, like don't ever let some fear stop you.
Yeah.
So like that is something that's driven me. Like, you know, like if I'm afraid of something, I almost like run to it.
Yeah.
Cause I'm like, yo, like I don't want to be afraid of this. Like,
well, and I would say that's evident in like a 30-second clip of you at a terminal takeover, like dropping it off a 12-foot kiosk. And
I was scared
busting
of that.
your head. Yeah, I know.
Don't get it twisted.
I know.
Leo can attest to it. Like I got up there and I was like, I don't know, guys. I was like, this 13 feet looked lower than when.
Yeah. Leo's looking up at you like, clip's rolling, man.
Yeah.
I'm running out of storage here.
We got to make the highlight.
Yeah,
that
was sketchy, man. That was a whole nother thing. But
I mean, but like you said, like with the whole like attacking things or fear, like I feel like a lot of times you have that fearful moments for new things, which again, just attests to what you're saying, like always trying to find that new. Usually if you're afraid of something, it's because it's new. You don't have the confidence. You don't know what it is. You don't know how you're going to perform. And I do feel like a lot of people have that fear of failure, but kind of how like Ryan said, I feel like with skateboarding, there really is no fear of failing, because failure is a part of
it's definitely there. I'm like,
with woodworking as well, you have to make the mistakes to be like, that's not how that happens.
For sure.
And changing that mindset of, if you incorporate error into the learning process, making mistakes, having that fear is a part of mastering something. It changes your outlook on those opportunities. And it's not until, I guess you like you said, you have those reflections of like fear took over and what could have happened with this moment, and being like, hey, I don't want to lose what happens. I would rather know the outcome, whether I failed at it completely or moved into a new mastery. At least I had that journey.
Yeah, absolutely. I just don't want to, like, I'm okay to fail. I'd rather fail than fail. I'd rather fail from trying and just failing than fail because I didn't try. And that is like, I don't know, like that, like the fear is all like, there's, you know, a lot of the shit I do is scary, dude. Like bike, like when I go on these bike rides, like that shit's scary sometimes. Like I'm on like gnarly roads by myself in the middle of nothing, and like shit goes wrong, and it's like I know shit's gonna go wrong going into it. Like I know I'm about to put myself into these like super challenging situations, which is kind of scary. And with woodworking, like, you know, the fear is different. It's like that's what I do for a living, and like some of these projects take me like months, months and months and months, and if I make a mistake, it could set like, okay, like this is a perfect example. These shelves that I did, these were supposed to be installed in January.
Yeah.
Leo knows I made a mistake on these and had to restart like 2 months into the process. And that pushed my entire project list back.
Right, exactly.
So it wasn't just like, okay, no, like I had like multiple clients that I had to explain things to and deal with. And it's like, yo, that's always prevalent. And it's not like somebody came and was like, no problem, here's more money.
Right. Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, I was like, shit, okay, like I got to push everything back, deal with, you know, clients that could be upset.
Yeah.
And, so, you know, like deal with the financial repercussions of this, you know? So like, but I'm more afraid of letting fear stop me. Like I won't let fear, I'll like eat that shit, dude. Like if I feel fear, I'm like, all right, then that means I got to do this. Cause it's like, I can't. And that goes back to like, there's part of that like story that my dad told me. Like my dad was so sick. Like that one story though shaped a lot of my life. And then you mentioned skateboarding. Like, dude, skateboarding was, I played whenever I was really young. I wanted to be a commercial shrimper, and then I started playing hockey.
Where did you grow up?
Fan? Big Forrest Gump fan?
No.
I've never met anyone that says I wanted to be a commercial shrimper.
Dude, I love shrimping. I'm going shrimping this coming Saturday with my brother.
That's so interesting.
Right.
Where did you grew up in Lafayette?
Yeah. But I used to spend every summer at my grandfather's house, and he lived on the water in Irish Bayou, and he lived like pretty much 100% off the land. Dude. He had a crazy garden. And anything that we ate involved some type of like wild game or seafood that he hunted or killed. So like, and I used to spend all summer, like I'd get out of school and my parents would drop me off there and I'd go do stuff with them. And I love shrimping, dude. I love it. So when I was really young, I wanted to be a commercial shrimper. And then I discovered, I was playing like baseball, t-ball, and I was really good at it, but it was so boring to me. I'm like, dude, you're just waiting for this fucking ball. Like, I want to do shit. You know what I mean? I'd be like out in the outfield sometimes, and I'd be like, please hit this ball.
My way.
Like, please, you know?
No one pimping 90-mile-an-hour sliders.
Yeah.
It's a pop fly to first. Got it. And he's just booking it across the field.
I wanted that, you know? And then I found hockey, and I played hockey from like 5. Once I found hockey, I was like, I don't want to play baseball anymore. I played hockey from like age 5 to 11. And I loved that because like even if you don't have the puck, you're still moving.
Right,
that's you're still skating, you know, you're still doing stuff. But I'd get home after school and I'd be like, damn, I want to go play a hockey game. But like, it's fucking Tuesday. I don't have a ride anywhere. I'm a kid and there's not a game happening. So I'd like,
it's out of my backyard.
Yeah, I would like, you know, like dribble with the puck in my yard. But like I wanted more of it. And then I found skateboarding and it was like, oh, dude.
Yeah.
You want to go skate? You don't need nothing else. You don't need nobody to bring you anywhere. You got a driveway yourself.
Yeah.
It's constant movement.
Anywhere, anytime.
And that was it for me. And like I found that and it kind of came from like dude, I didn't have like other cool shit. Like I didn't grow up in like a wealthy environment or like, you know, so like that was it. Like you could take your skateboard out and go outside and like, and I don't know, that shaped me. I mean, dude, since I picked up a skateboard, every single major decision in my life has had skateboarding at the focal point, like 100%. Since from the school that I went to the career that I chose to like everything.
It's been a through line in all of it.
100%. Yeah. It's like the core of who I am. So that's like driven every major decision.
And you were just 11 when you got that board from Toys R Us?
Yeah. That's crazy that you know that.
Yeah. Well, you were short, what was it, $2 and your friend's dad, grandpa had to spot you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. You know this story well. Yeah, so I was actually like, because of hockey, I was like rollerblading, you know? Like it was just a natural transition. And then Brink had come out, so I was like juiced on I was so juiced on like dude, like inline skating, and I was saving up for a new pair of rollerblades, and my allowance at the time was $2 a week. Yeah, I had $21 saved up, so I'd saved up like the whole summer. I think I blew like $1 at the gas station on some Little Debbie snacks. I'm not gonna lie, but I went ham one day. I biked
3-4 days. Yeah,
I biked to the Shell station and like, dude, I went stupid because they used to be like a quarter back then. I got like,
if you think it hurts to hear $1 on Debbie's,
yeah, I went crazy.
Today's inflation.
I might have been like $1.25. Like I'm not gonna lie, I
really splurged.
Yeah, I dropped a bag on that Shell.
Zebra cakes and fudge rounds. Yeah,
but so I had like $21, dude, and my buddy Brennan, he was like, we were hanging out, and he had gotten a skateboard. He went to Blue Bayou or something. Like, and he got a Blue Bayou skateboard and then started skating, and then he got a real board. And the whole time, like, he was skating, I'd be like rollerblading next to him. I swear, dude, I was like 10, 11. I was like, be rollerblading next to him. And then we went to Toys R Us and we saw skateboards, and I just like brought my whole wad with me, my whole $21.
Got pulled up.
Yeah, like, I don't know like what I was thinking, dude. Like rolling around my whole life savings.
The Velcro wallet. You never know. You never know when you're gonna be in a pinch. You know.
I used to keep it in a jar.
Yeah.
So I think I
You
had
had a
the
mason
jar,
jar?
with me.
Buried in the backyard.
Pretty sure I had the jar in my hands, dude. And we called it a rat hole. We'd like
There you go.
our allowance up there. But he convinced me to buy a skateboard, and I had to borrow like $2 and some change from him. And then I came home, and it was like this shitty like Veriflex skateboard with like, it did have metal trucks, but it had these like dumb, terrible bearings, like plastic wheels.
Of
it was
course.
like kind of convex. It wasn't concave.
Well, I mean, a giraffe is building it. You know, I mean,
Give them some slack, man.
I like get this board, dude, and I put it down. And the very first time that I ever stepped on a skateboard, I go to push Mongo. Yeah. And my friend was like, no. You don't push like that. So I never did push Mongo, but he taught me how to push. And the very first time I stepped on a skateboard, this is a true story, dude. I'm super not talented at skateboarding. I just have a gnarly work ethic. I step on the skateboard and like full banana peel. Like just fully banana peel.
Like Charlie from Peanuts with the football.
100%, dude. And there's a way, like every skateboarder knows this, there's a way that you fall where you hit your lower back like directly on the ground, and it feels like you kind of need to take a shit. Yeah. You can't, but it feels like that's the solution to the pain, but it's not.
Yeah.
It just
not going to solve anything. Yeah.
Every single skateboarder can attest to this.
If I could just crap my pants right now.
Dude, that was the very first experience I had on a skateboard, and I was like, dude.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess I like, it was like annoying how bad I was. And but that was like what I was like, okay, you know, once I learned, I got on it again and pushed and didn't fall, and I was like, okay, that was progress. That little bit of progress, that like self-progression. Yeah. That's what did it for me. Like, that's what did it for me. So, and it started like immediately, like self-progression. That's what,
So you start there, you end up for over a number of years, you just continue skateboarding. You end up working at McDonald's to buy your first skateboard and a flip phone, of course, as everyone knows the lore goes.
Yep.
From there,
first job was Mickey D's.
First job was Mickey D's, yeah. Right here on Johnson Street. Shout out. There you go.
Yep, dude, me and...
We're going to dox you by the end of this episode.
Dude, this is crazy. Yeah.
Your address is in the comments by now. I don't know if you know that.
Oh my gosh.
We got it pinned.
Yeah, first job was McDonald's. I worked there with my friend Hunter Patsky and my friend Eric Ryan, and we were all skating together every day and filming and like making videos. And me and Hunter... we used to like, dude, in our non-slip like work shoes, like on our breaks, we'd go outside. There's a gap at that McDonald's.
Oh, okay, sick.
And we'd go skate it, dude. I'd like kickflip that gap in some non-slips before.
I
for
know.
sure.
I mean, like, if the grease on the floor ain't getting you,
it's
you
kind of
be able to
gnarly
kick
how much the grease fucks with your grip, like your grip.
I'm sure,
it's like, dude, they're non-slip on cement. They are super slip on grip tape. Yeah, it doesn't translate. Like I don't know what it is. Like the science behind it, but it was slippery as fuck.
It's just the man trying to keep us down.
Exactly,
That's what
for
it is.
sure.
I also love how like I can piece together your age at this point, and it's not in the 90s, but this is the most 90s story I've ever heard where it's like we worked at McDonald's and skated on our lunch break. I'm like, I didn't see that Disney special, but I did love Brink.
Was that the 90s? No, dude, that was the 2000s, early 2000s.
It'd have to be unless you were doing child labor. Which,
that was like...
I didn't read that part of your bio, but maybe.
Man,
that was like 03 or something.
You had to have made a clip with the razor flip phone tucked into the waistband, because if you didn't,
dude, I didn't have a razor till way after they were really cool. That was like the rich kids had the razor, or the dudes who sold drugs. Like, I had like...
Were you on the Nokia brick? That's what I was on for the longest time.
Like, so I never had one personally, but my parents had a brick, and like when we were like real young, before we had our own phones, like if we went somewhere, we'd take one of our parents' phone to like call it, but like you could play like Snake on it.
Yeah, exactly. I remember that.
You know what I mean? Like it was, there was no texting. Like texts were like $1.
Yeah.
Like that was crazy.
I know.
Bro.
Yeah.
Like, so
it was nights and weekends, and you'd wait to call your friend.
Like
6 p.m.
after 8, or whatever. You get like unlimited after a certain time. And
I was too young to be worried about a phone bill.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
it was cool because it was like literally just a tool for communication, not like, like now I'm like
living your life
on it like all the time, you know. So But yeah, never had a brick, dude. That's funny.
So fast forward from there, then when does Rukus come into the picture of you working there? Because you were just telling us before you started working at this shop.
I started working here when I was like 16 or 17. I think 17. But Rukus came into the picture when I was 13 years old. Like I was 13, and it's so funny. Like I definitely haven't told this story in public, but we at 13 we had like made like by then it's kind of crazy. My friend Eric Ryan was like he's still a filmmaker, but he's not doing skateboarding shit anymore. But growing up, like he just wanted to make, like one day we were skating and he borrowed his dad's video camera, and he was like, yeah, I'm gonna film us and make a skate video. And I was like, okay, cool. And we went skating the next day, and then the next day he shows up to school with a VHS, and he like in that one day he made a skate video.
Yeah,
it was crazy.
Dang. Yeah,
of just like us skating around the neighborhood that day.
And especially at 13, that's wild.
No, dude, I was like 11.
Oh,
at that
even
point.
okay, gotcha.
I was like 11 or 12. I was super young,
Yeah.
and it was crazy. And then fast forward, we had made a few videos, and my friend Hunter, he came to school one day and was like, dude, Ronnie who owns Rukus, we were in there showing the video, and he was like, oh, who's that kid? He's sick. Like he saw me skating, and I was like, whoa, like I could ride for this. Like I was like, whoa, I could be sponsored by Rukus and ride with those guys. Like I thought that was crazy.
That is, yeah.
So I went home, and like as an excited kid, I told my mom.
Yeah.
I was like, Mom, it's so cool. The owner of Rukus, he saw my video and he thought it was good.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, maybe like one day I could skate for him. And she was like, what does that mean? I was like, well, you get discounts and like, you just like represent the shop. And she was like, dude, my mom was like, coupon, like she's a hustler, bro. Like she was a hustler. So she it's like discounts, like
discount, yeah.
She saw that because
now she's out there with the VHS.
She was, dude, my mom was such a G. Like she knows how to like exist off of like nothing if she needs to.
Yeah.
Like, you know, thankfully not the case anymore. But like at that point, that's what she saw. So
yeah,
dude, like I asked her if she could bring me to Rukus like the next day, because Ronnie used to come in every Wednesday. So she said yeah, and she brought me, and I was gonna get a pair of shoes. And my mom was like, you should ask Ronnie for a discount. And I was like, no, I don't want to ask him for a discount. She was like, no, ask him. It's not going to hurt to ask. And I was like, I did not want to. My mom was like,
especially as a kid.
Yeah, I was
ask
like,
an adult for anything.
Dude,
is like
I felt
so terrifying.
And my mom was like, Daniel, ask him. And I was like, okay. So we go to check out, and I told Ronnie, I was like, I just asked him for a discount. And he was like, no. And I was like, okay. I was like,
my worst fear is coming true.
And he was like, no. He was like, what? And I was like, well, I thought,
like one of those memories where you look back and all of a sudden there's like 12 kids pointing and laughing at you like, ha, ha, ha.
Nobody was like that, because it was like, it wasn't like, you know, like super, there was a bunch of people there, but it wasn't like nobody was in my business, you know, so they didn't know. But like I was, dude, I was so embarrassed. And I was like, okay. He's like, why? And I was like, well, they told me you liked my video.
Yeah.
And dude, I was like on the inside, I was just like, oh. Yeah. So dude, the next week I went back there with my friends without my mom, and I like sidebarred Ronnie, and I was like, hey man, can I talk to you? Like I'm a 13-year-old kid.
Right.
So it's like at the time he's like 32.
Right. Yeah.
So like imagine a 13-year-old kid sidebarring.
Like, can I talk to you? And he's
I'm like, hey,
am I in trouble?
I was like, Ronnie, can I talk to you for a second? He was like, yeah, man. And I was like, hey, I just want to let you know, I'm really sorry for asking for a discount. I was like, I did not want to. I was like, my mom like pressured me to, and I'm sorry. I was like, I did not want to.
Yeah.
And he saw like that's whenever he saw like, oh shit. Yeah. Like this kid's kind of cool. Like that, like before that, I was just like, but he like the fact that I like sidebarred him and like communicated with him, he thought that was the coolest. So like from that moment on, Ronnie kind of like, he was like, oh, and then he would like kind of take care of me at the shop. And then whenever I was like 15 or so, he was like, dude, in a year, if you keep doing what you're doing, you'll be riding for the shop. And I was like, whoa. He told me that at Quiznos one day over lunch. And I was like, whoa, dude, it was like the most like, you couldn't gas me up more. So I was like, all right. And then, you know, sure enough, like less than a year later, he had this like at the old Rukus, it used to be on Congress down the street from Lafayette High, next to Papa John's. Like less than a year later, dude, it was cool. He did like a real like welcome thing. We had like the whole team in the shop, and like he gave us all like some money to spend for Christmas in the shop. And he was like, all right, y'all, I just want to let y'all know. He's like, he put me, my friend Christian Willis, and our friend Kool-Aid on the team at the same time. Shout out Kool-Aid.
Yeah.
And it was so cool, dude. Like, it was the coolest shit. Like, I don't know. As a kid, like, it was tight.
Yeah.
So I was like around for years, and then started riding for him at a young age. And then my friend Casey Mommer, he was running the shop at the time, the Lafayette shop. And I was just like in the shop every day. Like, I'd get out of school, like go to the shop, you know what I mean? And just, we'd meet up there before we go skate, just like any other city. So I was like always around, and Casey got to know me, and then he asked me if I'd want to work at the shop. Like, I'd go there and I would just be like bored, and I'd be like, y'all need me to take out the trash? Like,
Yeah, just do something.
just do something. Like, I was just trying to help. Like, I just loved it. I loved it. So
you didn't want to be in the field waiting for the pop fly to come to you.
like, I was just trying to just be active, you
Right.
know, and be proactive. And then Casey asked me if I wanted to work there, and I was like, dude, yeah.
Yeah.
And started working, and then it got to a point where like Casey left, and I was like running it.
You were there.
Yeah, and I was like 17 or 18, but I was like doing the drawer and like helping put up inventory and like, you know,
Bigger responsibilities for sure.
for sure. Yeah. And then I finished high school, and then I wanted to go skate in Baton Rouge. Like, I didn't care about the school, honestly, but I had tops, so I could go anywhere in Louisiana for free, or mostly free. My tuition was covered. So I was like, yeah, I want to move to Baton Rouge and go skate with the Rukus dudes out there, and go skate Centraplex and like, you know, hang out with these dudes. So I moved out to Baton Rouge and went to LSU like solely to skate with the Rukus guys. And then, like fast forward, worked there throughout college. There was like 9 months that I didn't work there, because whenever I moved to Baton Rouge, there was a few dudes working there, Tater and Michael Bro, and I forget who else, a handful of dudes that just like had been there longer, so they couldn't cut their hours to give me more.
Right. Okay.
So I was working like 1 day a week, and I needed more money, so I had to stop working there for a little while and go work at this Mexican restaurant called Serrano's. And then at some point, Ronnie, like, it was the summer after my freshman year, I was on crutches. I had my first knee surgery. He was like, dude, can you come back? Can you come work? You know, come work for me. I'll make sure you get enough hours. He's like, I need you. He's like, I need somebody who gets it and a hard worker. And he's like, I know you got it. So he promised me enough hours, and then it was, you know, and he's like, dude, you can come back. And he's like, I know you want to be in the skate industry. He's like, he's like, if you work, he's like, you can make it happen. So that's what I did. Throughout college, I worked at Rukus, and then built relationships with brands and people in the industry. And then right after college, I got like my dream job, got scooped up by Volcom. And then, you know, whatever.
And you said you were there for 5 years at Volcom?
Yeah. So I got hired at Volcom, maybe a little more than 5, because I got hired in like June or July of 2012. And then for 6 months, like they wanted me to move to Austin, Texas.
Okay.
I was down to move anywhere. I was like, I don't care, dude. I'm down to do anything. Like, I'm not tied to nothing. But I told them, I was like, I'm down to go wherever, but I was like, I have to like make sure Rukus is taken care of. Like, I can't just like dip out. So I was like, I'll work for you for 6 months. I was like, I need to be here for another 6 months to make sure they're fully taken care of. And what I did was I got hired in June, and dude, I'd be 1 week on the road with Volcom, 1 week home at Rukus. I did that for 6 months. And then at the end of that, January 1st of 2013, dude, had my whole life in a Penske truck with my car on a trailer in the back. It's the scariest drive ever. So I'm like, literally everything I own, if I wreck, is here.
Yeah.
Everything I own. Like, which wasn't much, but
but it's what you had.
It's what I had, bro. And I moved to Austin, and I didn't know anybody there, which I was actually really excited about, because I'd gotten to a point living in Baton Rouge where I was like, I felt like
no matter everyone.
Yeah, I felt like I knew everyone. I was like, no matter where I go, I know exactly what's going to be there.
Right.
The newness there was no newness anymore. It felt like, you know. So I was excited for that, and then went to Austin, and just like immediately, like, I put my shit in a storage unit, because I couldn't move into my apartment for like another week or so, or 2 weeks. Put my shit in a storage unit, and then the next day flew out to California, and I was there for like a week, and then I flew to Denver. I was in Keystone, Colorado, doing a snow clinic for like a week, and then I went to like West Texas or something, and then back, and it was like I had like 2 days home, moved in, hit the road again. It was just like that, like for like 5 years, dude. I was traveling 80% of the time. I was loving it though. Like, I was loving it. I'm like, whenever they hired me, my starting salary was like 24 grand.
Yeah.
So, and I'm living in Austin, so it was like
That's
I was
going
broke,
nowhere.
dude.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
when I was on the road, I had an Amex.
Oh,
and a per
there you
diem.
go.
I'm like, dog, I'm trying to eat.
I'm not
I'm
broke
trying to
if
eat.
I'm
I was
always
like,
on the
send
road.
me on the fucking road,
Yeah.
dude. And dude, that first year of working at Volcom, I put 50,000 miles on my car.
Wow.
50,000.
Yeah.
And I bought a brand new car.
Ooh.
I had this like 1995 or 1990, I think it was 95 Chevy S10. And that got me through college, and like almost like symbolically, like weeks after I graduated,
Yeah.
like, I was driving on
Yeah.
a Blue Bonnet one day in Baton Rouge, and the truck just died.
Just done.
Well,
Just like I'm driving, bro.
Yeah.
Like I'm
Yeah.
not, I didn't hit nothing. I just driving, and it goes.
just minding my own business.
I was like, oh shit. I was like,
quick
dude,
moment.
my dad came, he drove in from Lafayette, he had his like tool bag, and we like pushed it off to the side in this parking lot. It's like rug store or something.
Yeah.
And we tried to fix it, and my brother-in-law came and he tried to fix it. He's a super gnarly mechanic, and he was like, yeah, this is
Done.
done.
Yeah.
And then I got my car. I was like, whatever. Fast forward.
So you're doing a lot of traveling for Volcom, and then was it originally you kind of got burnt out on the traveling, and that's why you took the other job? Is it Grandex? Brandex?
Grandex, yeah.
Grandex.
There was like polar opposite. So whenever I started at Volcom, once I got hired, it was like every month, once a month, I got a job offer. And I didn't even listen to them. I didn't care who. I was like, no. I was like, I'm exactly where I want to be. This is exactly what I want to be doing. I loved the environment at Volcom. And then I like fast forward a year, I was making $24,000 a year. So I was like struggling, like if I was home, because I would, dude, my checks were $1,567 a month. My rent was $800. My car note was $400. My insurance was $170. My utilities at my apartment were like $150. I had like $120 to maybe $200 a month to spend on food, entertainment, and gas. So I
You're
was
basically traveling to live and working to have a place to go to when you're not
100%.
living. Yeah.
Yeah. And like, dude, like I remember calling Ronnie so many nights, and I'd be like, he's like, what you doing? I'm like, ground beef tacos, baby. Pound of ground beef was $1.88.
Rice and beans.
No, it was ground beef tacos with just meat and cheese. I also learned that you can't like invite a girl for tacos and make that for her.
Just the ground beef.
Yeah,
cheese. Yeah.
she,
No
Doesn't
chips
fly.
and salsa.
it's a different story, but
Yeah.
like, yeah, I learned.
damn,
like,
no, she walks in, opens the fridge, not even no tub of sour cream.
especially not a girl from Texas.
No.
Yeah.
that's
I was
an
like
offense.
living in Austin, where like arguably the best tacos
Yeah.
exist in the world, or some of them. And I invite this girl over to my house. I'm like, yeah, you want to come eat tacos? Dude, I had
He's like, but wait, watch this. He rips open the $1 packet of taco seasoning and dumps it in. And it's like
100%.
Gordon Ramsay over there.
It was ground beef, mission tortillas, not heated up or toasted,
Of course.
shredded cheese, and salsa
I
verde.
mean, look,
Yep.
you bought tortillas. You already had the white bread in the pantry. You could have just.
I
Dude, it
splurged
was
on this date.
so bad.
Yeah.
Me and that girl are homies now.
Yeah.
She was not into me in that way, but she's my dog. Shout out Chella. Yeah, and we still like, she'll make fun of me of that sometimes. She's like, dude, that was the worst tacos. Anyway, that was my go-to at the time.
Yeah.
Like I was broke, dude. So yeah, I was like just traveling to eat, man. And I got like, after a year of that, I asked my boss, I was like, yo, Jeff, I really need a raise. Like, I was like, this is my bill. I'm like struggling, dude. And he was like, okay, man, let me like crunch some numbers. And he came back and he's like, all right, dude, here's what I can do. $100 more a month. I was like, dude.
You could splurge for corn
So
tortillas at that point.
I was like, dude, this is gnarly. So I went from 24 to 25, and I was like, man. And I was kind of talking to my friend Rob Koenig, who's a super legendary rep in our zone. And he's like one of my life mentors forever. And I was telling him, he's like, you should come work for me. He was doing Ruka. And he's like, you should work for Ruka. He's like, I'll double your salary. He's like, I'll give you per diem. He's like, I'll pay for your phone bill. I'll buy you a laptop. I'll pay for your gas and mileage. And he's like, and I'll give you health insurance. And I was like,
It's kind of like you had me sold on the first bullet point, but keep talking.
Yeah, I was like, okay. So I was like, I have to take this. And I loved Ruka too. Like I loved Volcom more because of the DNA of Volcom, but like I was into Ruka. And dude, I put in my 2 weeks over at Volcom, and I didn't even know like I'd been to sales meetings a bunch, but like I didn't know that these people knew who I was. But dude, the next day I get a call on my phone from a California number. and I'll answer it. And it was Jason Steris, who at the time was the CEO of Volcom.
Okay.
And he was like, "Hey man, this is J-Dog over at Volcom." And I'm like, "Whoa, what's up, dude?"
Yeah.
You know who I am?
Yeah.
How'd you get my number? And he was like, "Hey man, I heard you're gonna leave us." He's like, "Can you hold off on that and give me 24 hours?" And I was like, Yeah, sure.
Okay.
I was like, sure. I can't believe this guy knows who I am.
Yeah.
That tripped me out. So my sales manager called and he was like, "Look, dude, like we view you as the future of this brand and we're going to give you, it's like, we want you to stay here and we'll give you in the future, you'll have Jeff's position." He's like, "We'll make sure he's able to retire in a healthy way." But he's like, "You're the future of this brand." Well, so I was like, okay, wow, I have like a future here. So the next day they called me back and they supplemented Jeff's income and they doubled my salary and like paid me mileage and basically matched what Rukus was offering.
Yeah.
So, and I was like, damn. So my life immediately, and they allowed me to start working for Stance Socks because Stance wanted me to work for them too. So I immediately like doubled my salary with Volcom and then was able to bring in another like 10, 12K a year with Stance. So I was like, whoa, this is sick. Like I'm able to live a little bit. Fast forward, like I knew that in 2 to 3 years time, I was going to be taking my superior's position, hopefully in a healthy way, not on some like jaded shit.
Yeah.
But at that point I'd be moving into like a $300,000 to $400,000 salary at the time. So I was like, okay, this is like a way that I can like, you know, the light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
Well, fast forward like not even a year, the parent company of Volcom decided to clean house and they fired every executive and then brought in all new people. They got rid of a ton of people at Volcom, dude, and it just changed the whole DNA. And at that point, I kind of started to see the like light at the end of the tunnel fade. I was like, man, like I was doing better than I was, but I still was like, you know, not like on a level to where I could create opportunity for somebody or like, you know, do even everything that I wanted to do. So at that point I was like, man, I'm actually the next job offer that comes my way, I'm going to hear him out. Like I told myself that. And like, it's just like funny how it happened. Like a couple of days later, I get this call from Matt Cisneros over at Grandex. And he offered me this job, and I listened to him, and I was like, man, no. I told him no, and he called me again. He's like, what do you want? And I like kind of told him a like, kind of crazy list of some things that I wanted, and then they called me back, and they offered me everything.
Came back with it, yeah.
Yeah, they offered me everything that I asked for, and I was like, shit. I was like, okay, this is not skateboarding. It's like nothing that I'm like, I told him, I'm like, look, dude, I'll work for you, but I'm not wearing these goofy clothes. It's like, these clothes are not my shit. I was like, you know, and he was like, it's cool, man. We don't wear them either.
So that's like what they're making.
He's
is
like,
the
we
clothes.
just sell it.
That's
It was, dude, it was sick. So they owned TFM, which was like a user submitted content. And they monetized that. They had like a couple million followers, and it was like college humor style content.
Gotcha.
So that was a cool thing. And I, while working for them, they really wanted me because I figured it out like 6 months in, because they noticed that their number 2 most shipped to place online was the West Coast. But they had no wholesale accounts out there. And once they started looking into who were the wholesale players on the West Coast, they were like, oh shit, these are big surf shops, skate shops. Like they were like golf dudes. They're like, we can't walk into these places.
But you've got all those connections as well.
Kind of, but they looked at me as like, this dude can walk the walk and talk the
relatable.
talk. You know what I mean? So, and I knew how to like I was selling to Army Air Force, Dillard's, Sun and Ski, like major accounts. And then, you know, selling to like little skate shops and little boutiques. So like I could kind of interface with anybody in a business
any
sense.
level.
So that's really why they hired me, I found out.
Gotcha.
But I went from 80% of the time travel to working for them. I was 25% of the time travel. And then fast forward like 9 months in, they asked me to take on the entire western half of the US, which was like, okay, I could make like serious money, real opportunity, but I got to go back to like flying out once a week. And I was kind of off that. Like I was like, man, I love traveling and I have to travel a percentage of the time, but too much and it's like gnarly.
That burnout.
So yeah, I'd kind of like got to the burnout. I mean, I'd done that for 5 years, dude.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, I don't know. I was kind of like debating on taking the position or not. I was like, man, I'm so like happy with where I'm at right
Right,
now.
yeah.
Like I loved what I was doing, where I was living, and my whole life. I was loving it. But I was thinking about it, and I was actually driving back home to Louisiana on like a Friday night, and I just crossed into Louisiana over the Texas border, and I was thinking about, okay, like if I take this position, I could make a lot more money, you know, and I could like really like make some levels up and do some stuff. And then I was just like, man, what if I just said fuck it all and just lived in a van, got rid of everything, had like 10 shirts and 2 pairs of pants. I used to fantasize about that because I got into a point where like I had a budget with Volcom. I was sample size. Like my closet was ridiculous, dude. And it was just like kind of gross in a sense to me.
You get wrapped up in the material stuff.
Yeah, I got to a point where I'm like, I just didn't care about nothing. Like it just, you know, like, and then when you go to, you know, I go to Volcom and you'd see like just the sample room of stuff that's like probably going to get destroyed.
Right. Yeah.
It's crazy, bro.
Yeah.
It's like, and they're a small company in comparison to like Nike or somebody like that, you know?
Sure.
Anyway, I was like, man, what if I could just like live simply? And I was like, wait, what if I could combine those two? I was like, what if I could save the company thousands of dollars by not flying, give them a better representation in the zone, be out there 100% of the time, use a van as a marketing tool, and skate parks all over the place, hang out with my friends. I was like, whoa, dude, this would be sick. And just live super cheap and make way more.
Yeah.
And I remember calling like my friend Ronnie, and he was with my friend Matt. Matt had just bought his house, him and his wife, and I was like, yo, I got this idea, and I told him about it. And then I texted my boss right after that phone call. I was like, hey, dude, can we like talk Tuesday morning? I was like, can we talk Monday morning? He's like, yeah. And I was like, actually, I'm not going to come into the office Monday. Can we talk Tuesday?
Yeah.
He was like, yeah, sure thing. And I went into his office, and I sat down with Matt and Matt Cisneros, and I told him, like, hey, dude, you guys want me to do this. I'm going to be honest. I'm burnt out on traveling, but I do want to do this, but I kind of want to do it in this way. And explained my vision, and it kind of blew me away. He didn't tell me to get out of his office. He was like, let's talk more about this. He's like, I like this. And it took 9 months because it took them, it was like I convinced them to let me work remote 100% of the time before.
And here, not to interrupt you, but here's what's crazy to give the context here. This is well before COVID.
100%.
Like a lot of people listening now is like, oh, you're working remote.
This was like the end of this was the beginning of 2017.
Okay.
Like I approached him.
Which has got to be a testament in how much they believed in you and wanted you.
Yeah, I think so.
To give you that leeway on it.
So he, like over 9 months, like we had to meet like with like the CFO, CEO, and like come up with plans. And like basically like I had to just tell them the vision and then build like a whole like shop list and all this like, you know, this back end stuff. And then they gave me the green light. And 2 weeks later, dude, like sight unseen, I bought a van online with my credit card. I bought a van out of the Chicago Mercedes-Benz, and then like a few days later flew up to Chicago by myself. And the first time I drove that bitch was the 19-hour drive from Chicago to Baton Rouge.
That's a good way to learn a van, though.
Hey,
you know,
it was
get very well acquainted with it.
It was like I remember tripping. I was like, I know why they call this place the Windy City. That van was like rocking on the interstate, and I was like, damn, this is kind of sketch. But yeah, I did it, and then I spent like a little under 40 grand on that van, and then. Dude, 2 days later, up on the roof with a fucking jigsaw.
Yeah.
Cutting a hole out, and I didn't know shit. Like, I didn't know anything.
Yeah.
I was, like, watching YouTube videos, and I was like, okay, like, they got, like, old people and, like, moms with kids who are, like, the strongest people on the planet. But in my head, I'm like, dude, if they could do it, like, I could do this.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it was inspiring.
They figured it out.
And they figured it out. You know, like, none of these people are any smarter than me. So, yeah, I just, like, started the process of building out my van, and every day I lost track of time. Every day, dude, I'd be in my shop and I'd be like, oh, I forget to look at my phone because I'm just so like hyper focused on this. Like, damn, it's already this time. And I fell in love with woodworking. Like I fell in love with it. I made stupid mistakes because I didn't know shit. I knew what tools did what, kinda, but I didn't know how to measure. I didn't know how to do a lot of shit, dude, and just kind of made the mistakes along the way and figured it out, but loved it. And fast forward another 9 months, I was living in the van, and you know, you heard the story earlier. Like that's where, you know, this company sold.
Yeah.
Thought back with what I wanted to do. Took this bike ride.
But pause for a second. When the whole company sold, I've heard you say before, most people, you're out of a job. You're going to be bummed. You're going to be stressed.
Oh,
You were stoked.
I was like, what?
You were so excited.
Because I was
job?
when he called me and told me that. If you could have seen my face, I was like, I was at this coffee shop, this sick ass coffee shop in Salt Lake City, and I remember me and Matt had a good relationship, but for the 2 weeks before this phone call, he had been kind of like standoffish in communication.
Yeah.
Not like ducking calls or anything, but just like
a little short.
Short. It was like enough for me to notice. So when he called me, I was like, okay,
something's up.
He called me and he's like, yeah, man. He's like, I just want to let you know we just sold the company. He's like, we sold the company to an investor who's basically just buying the whole company to cannibalize the online retail store of the men's side.
Okay.
So everybody's getting let go. And he's like, man, and as soon as he told me that, I was like, fuck yes. I was like, dude, at the time, company standard was 3 months severance. And I was like, all right, 3 months severance. I got like a good bit of commission coming in for it. I'm like, fuck yeah. And I live in a fucking van. Like,
I could all cash.
Yeah.
Dude,
all profit.
And then he goes, but he was like, but because we're letting everybody go, he's like, everybody's only gonna get 30 days severance.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh shit.
That's very different.
A little different. And then, but I still had commission. So like we got off that phone and I was like, I'm not gonna lie, like for a second I was a little bummed. Then I was like, wait, dude. I was like, I live in a fucking van. I was like, I can go anywhere. I was like, I have no responsibilities. I was like, fuck. And I had like one of my best friends, Ashlyn and Megan, were in. I don't think Megan was still there. My friend Ashlyn, dude, she was in Denver, and I called her up and I was like, hey, I'm coming to you. And I went and I was like, went and hung out with her, dude. And I remember like this particular night, I was like sleeping on her living room floor, and her and her boyfriend were in her room. And I woke up at 3 a.m, dude. And I was just like, I got to bike across the country.
Yeah.
Like it was a
wild,
crazy pull. Like I had sometimes like things happen. Like the Barousse Works Invitational, that's the same thing, dude. Like I had this like pull to do this. Like Rukus to Relief, like all the things that I do that are like noteworthy. It's because I have this like pull, and it's like I think about it and it scares me and excites me at the same time. And I'm like, oh shit. Yeah. That's something I have to chase. So like, yeah, I woke up and then dude, just did my shit, and then things happened.
Did that, what is it, 900-mile ride from Denver to Austin?
The way that I took was it was 1,000 miles.
Okay, gotcha.
It was a little over 1,000 miles. It was like actually like a little under 1,200, but I skipped 150 of it because I had crazy issues and had to like pay a friend of a friend of a friend to like drive me an hour and a half to a bike shop.
Gotcha.
So I skipped 150 of it, but like, yeah, it was. Dude, I'm so glad that I didn't know how gnarly it was going in, because I probably wouldn't have done it. Yeah. Because in my head, I'm like, I bike 20, 30 miles a day. I like eat that shit. And I'll go skate. You know what I mean? Like that's nothing.
What's 1,000?
Well, I would just, the way I look at it, I was like, I could do 100 miles. I've done 100 miles in a day before one time.
I'll just do it 10 days in a row.
That's what I thought. I was like, dude, if I just wake up, start pedaling, and just don't stop.
Yeah.
No way I can't do this in 10 days.
Right. Yeah.
That's really what I thought. That's really. I remember telling like Ronnie that. I was like, dude, this was like
the blind.
That's all it is.
Yeah, admirable.
It was. It was not. It was.
It was what you didn't know. Yeah, it was what you didn't
ignorance
know.
Ignorance of what I didn't know, and then like, dude, I almost ruptured both Achilles. I had crazy mechanical. I did it on a 3-speed hybrid, like a beach cruiser,
in swimming trunks and skate shoes.
Swim trunks and skate shoes.
Yeah,
dude, my bike had a coaster brake. Like you pedal backwards to stop.
Yeah.
I remember I got to Austin and I pulled up at No Comply, and my homie Elias, who owns No Comply, shout out Eli, he's like, dude, I'm not gonna lie. He's like, I bet against you solely based upon your equipment. He's like, he's like, you basically just competed in the X Games and won on a Walmart board.
Right. Yeah.
That's how he explained it. And I was like, okay. And you know, like at the time, the bike company Priority, that's their like entry level like city hybrid cruiser. It's meant for like around town, nothing, you know,
around country,
not cross country. Well, dude, they saw that and they realized they took notice. They're like, yo, this is buck. Yeah, like this is not chill. Yeah. So fast forward, a couple years later, I ended up had a really nice bike that my brother bought for me. Somebody stole it and I put it out on Instagram. And they're like, dude, we'll give you a bike. They're like, we'll give you a bike. So they sent me a bike, and now they work with me, and they're the shit, dude. Yeah, they're now I'm on their like high end like gravel bike, which is really nice.
A little bit better for cross country.
It's like a whole like
good
machine.
more. If you want to make connections, just bike 1,000 miles, hope someone takes notice.
Oh, dude, I made all sorts of
That's
connections.
the way to make
Yeah.
business connections.
Yeah, it was people definitely noticed because it was like, I mean, it'd be like somebody who just learned how to ollie being like, all right, I'm going to El Toro, which y'all don't
Right.
know, it's a 20
High
stair.
school.
It's like this
Yeah.
giant, so like anybody who's like knows anything about that, they're gonna pay attention because they're like, this dude's gonna kill himself.
Right, exactly.
This
yeah.
guy's
It's not
gonna die,
end well.
100%.
Just do a
Yeah,
20 stair
yeah,
real
for sure.
quick.
But it was on the bike, and that was honestly a very defining moment in my life and a chapter of my life in those 12. Every bike ride that I do is a chapter of my life.
Yeah,
'Cause
yeah,
it's
for
just-
sure.
Time just moves differently.
Yeah. You said you used that ride to kind of plot out a lot of the rest of your life and what you wanted to do. From there, you end up back in Denver, woodworking with a friend that's living there.
Yeah, so my friend Grayson Certain of Greyhound Goods, shout out Grayson. I'm on this bike ride and I'm like designing my life, right? Like thinking about like what do I want to do? If I had all the money in the world and I didn't have to worry about time, how would you spend your day? What would your days look like? And I'm like, all right, I'd be healthy, I'd eat healthy, like I'd be skating, I'd be biking. And I was like, I'd be, probably making cool shit for my friends. And at the time, I didn't see how I could make money skateboarding. I didn't see how I can make money cycling. And now I'm kind of like a professional cyclist a little bit. And then, but I was like, man, with woodworking, I was like, I feel like I could make like cool tables and sell them. I remember thinking that. So I called my friend Grayson. I had interest. I remember when I bought my van, I wanted to make the countertop out of recycled skateboards, but ran out of time. Like I had to get on the road by the end of January for my company. So I shifted gears, but I had an interest. Like one of the girls I was dating at the time, or one of the girl that I was dating at the time, I remember making her this like heart out of recycled skateboards in like 2016. That was the first thing I ever. But I had this.
You want to talk about the growth from men? We went from like the ground beef tacos to the heart out of recycled boards.
Yeah.
You really leveled up your game
I'm
there.
still
for a
not
while.
much more above that, but like I definitely, the point of that was like I had interest in recycled skateboards.
Right.
Like, and I remember like seeing Hiroshi. He's this amazing artist. He's like the sickest one in the world with recycled skateboards. I was like, so inspired by his art. So I'm on this bike ride and I decide like woodworking is what I want to do. And I called my friend Grayson and I'm like, hey dude, like he was doing amazing work, but like he was doing smaller items, but the craftsmanship was fucking G shit. Dude, he's such a G. So I hit him up and I'm like, hey man, I'm kind of thinking like, would you be interested in working with me? I was like, I see you doing this stuff out of skateboards. I was like, I just built this van and learned how to do like big shit. I was like, also I'm pretty I have a good business mindset. I was like, I think we could combine forces and like win. And he was like, dude, honestly, I need that right now. He's like, I kind of need a fire under my ass. And he's like, I've been knowing you for a long time. We've been friends. He's like, let's do it, man. I was like, all right, I'm gonna call you when I finish this ride. He's like, yeah, you're crazy for that, by the way, dude. He's like, I've been watching. He's like, this is nuts, dude.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, I don't know what I'm doing, dude. So
Figuring it out.
finished, got to Austin. Me and my brother, we hopped in his truck like the next day, and we rode to Baton Rouge, and we did the Palm premiere, the last Rukus video that we put out. And then the next day, I flew with my bike in a box back to Denver, and I show up to Grayson's shop, and he was like killing it, but his shop wasn't really set up to like a wood shop yet. Like he didn't have even like a workbench. He was doing this amazing work on like this plastic table.
Okay.
So I like took some money that I had and we like invested in some like basically like lumber and a couple small tools. And we rebuilt the whole shop and transitioned it to like a functional wood shop, organized everything. And then 10 days later, we produced our first table. And it sold in like 30 minutes for like $2,000.
Right.
Which is not a lot of money if you think, okay, over 2 weeks, 2 dudes split $2,000, $500 a week. That's like,
But for your first piece,
but it was like, oh shit, this is like a start. This is
Can
something.
happen.
yeah, it
Right.
shows you it's doable.
It's like you could build on this. And then,
Yeah.
dude, we just started going. Like we just started. There was one point where like, I remember we were working. We were super busy. We had orders started coming in. And I remember one point we were working and I was in the garage and we were in this phase. We were listening to these 2 albums by Cobra Man. Like it's crazy because I was more into the music. I'm more into it with listening to it with Grayson than I am by myself.
Yeah.
It was like this.
yeah, he hypes you up.
Dude, we were just feeding off and he rips on a skateboard.
Okay.
He's super good at skateboarding. He's nuts, bro. He's an epic human being. But I'm sitting there we're working and I'm like, I look over, I'm like, hey dude, like, do you want to go skate? I was like, we haven't taken off in like 3 months. Like, we literally hadn't stopped working. We worked every single day for like 3 months straight. Like, we were just like, because I parked my van in the front of his house. His garage was our wood shop. Dude, we'd wake up at 7 in the morning and just start crushing out and just like, and we were vibing. Like, me and him were just like feeding off each other and pushing each other. And he's like, yeah, dude. And then, you know, fast forward like a couple months later, I met this girl. And I kind of felt a pull to go home, but this was like definitely the catalyst. And I was like, man, I kind of want to like see where this goes. But she was back here in Lafayette. Right. So I went back to Grayson. I had come home to do a project. I made the curved shelves, the curved board wall at Rukus in Baton Rouge. And while I was here, me and this girl had been hanging out, and I went home. I was supposed to be here for like 10 days. I stayed here for like 3 weeks. I went back to Denver, and I was like, yo, Grayson, I was like, I'm pretty into this chick. And I was like, I'm feeling this like pull. But I was like, honestly, I'm at the point where I'm ready to sell my van and invest and go all in with you and like get a wood shop out here, or like go home and chase this and see where this goes and start my own thing. But I was like, I'm down to do this with you. Like, you just like, what are you thinking? He was like, dude, honestly, I love working with you. And he's like, it's a great business partnership. But he's like, as your friend, bro, he's like, if I was you, I would go home, man. He's like, I would chase that love and go be around your family. Yeah. He's like, you know, of course I'd want to keep working with you, but if you're across country, you know, I'm like, naturally. Not gonna really happen. And I was like, all right, well then that's what I'm gonna do. So I moved back here. I hit up my dad, and I was like, he had a wood shop or a shop in his backyard. It wasn't a wood shop. It was basically like a storage shed. It was crazy. You couldn't even like get to the workbench. There was like this little path.
It sounds like a dad shop.
And a
shit everywhere, you know.
Absolute dad shop.
Yeah, 100% a dad shop. And I hit him up, and I was like, Dad, like I kind of want to come home, and would it be okay if I use the shop? And he was like, yeah, but it's not like a wood shop. It's not set up. He's like,
I've already made one. I'll do it.
And I was like, yeah, I'll do it. And dude, I went home, and I learned a very valuable lesson. I took out a very bad loan, terrible loan, and bought some tools though. But I took out that loan, like bought these tools and started cleaning up the shop and organized it enough and started working and started making small stuff. And then just, you know, started my Instagram and paid my friend Justin to build me a website and just kept going. And then, you know, here we are.
Here we are all these years later.
Yeah, it's like, it's been almost 5 years.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'll never stop what I'm doing. I
think probably like two of the things I find most interesting about your woodworking, aside from the craft itself and the way it looks, is that one, I think when I look at your life, you can see this through line of relationships and how that all kind of comes into play. Like working at Rukus, those relationships leading to Volcom and Grandex, and then doing woodworking, all of your relationships you made there leading to being able to source all of these skateboards that you get. So.
Yeah, it's 100%. That's 100% how it happened, man. Yeah. Like, so I'm a sales rep at the time, right? My number one account was Army Air Force. That's the number one retailer in the world. Most people don't know that, but they have
which company you were working for at the time?
For Volcom, I'm referring to.
Okay, yeah.
That's
what any answer was going to confuse me, but I need to understand here. Why is the Army Air Force buying so much Volcom?
So they have these like stores on the base, right? I forget what they're called, like OpX or something like that. They have these stores where anybody who lives on the base can go and purchase stuff. And it's kind of sick because it's an isolated market. Like you and I couldn't go in there unless you're in the military. So as a brand, it's cool because you can sell to them and it doesn't mess up the distribution with your other accounts. But they're also the world's largest retailer. Like they purchase more than like Walmart. It's crazy. So like I'm working with them. I'm working with like Dillard's, like Macy's, like big box stores like that. But the dudes who I really wanted to talk to and really wanted to work with are the guys that like are doing very small numbers in comparison to those guys. So I shouldn't be spending much time with them, but I did because they're the dudes who own skate shops.
Right, yeah.
They're like nerdy enough about skateboarding to make it their whole life, just like I am. So naturally, like, that's what I want to be around. I'm like, this is my people. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, these are my dogs. Yeah. So over the years, you know, like, of course, like I would do what needed to be done and do my meetings with Dillard's and AFIS, and that's Army Air Force. And, but I would, like, when I'm on the road seeing those guys, I'm like, I get Teddy at the board house. Yo, Teddy, let me stay with you. Can I come stay on your couch? Let's go skate, dude. Or like, you know, like any shop around, dude, like Shorty who owns Deli or like any of these shops, dude. That's who I wanted to spend time with. So that's who I built relationships with.
Yeah.
It was easy. It wasn't like
Yeah.
forced. It was organic, man. It was like, those are the guys I wanted to hang out with. So fast forward when I started needing skateboards, I started hitting up my friends that own skate shops. I'm like, hey, dude, Daniel over at Relief. Hey, man, can you just save up the skateboards for me and not throw them away?
Right,
Because
yeah.
when a kid comes and gets a new deck, they throw their old one away most
Right.
of the time.
Yeah.
There's probably a stack over there, like from kids here. So
Yeah.
it's like, rather than them ending up in the landfill, I
Do
just
something with
pay
them.
to have them shipped to us,
Yeah.
and then we create art out of them. And
Yeah.
that's kind of how I'm able to have this like steady supply, because people hit me up all the time, and I've put it out there on the internet a million times, like, where do you get all these skateboards
Right,
from?
yeah.
And I'm like, honestly, if you got to ask, you'll never be able to.
Yeah.
You just don't have it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like you kind of have to be like in skateboarding in some fashion to even approach these guys.
To get
you know?
connected with all that,
So
yeah.
it's
Well,
like,
and I think it's like you using like one passion to just fuel the next passion. Like
Dude,
you said,
that's how
all the
it-
work,
that's-
like
yeah.
making
all of my
connections
shit's-
with all the places you've been to have accumulated to where you are now. So it's like create one thing, invest all of everything of you into this thing, collect the dividends later.
kind
You
of,
know?
yeah. I 100% of my life intertwines together.
For sure.
Like
Yeah.
the cycling, like it's funny because I'm like probably I'm pretty gnarly at cycling, but it's the thing that I'm like the least nerdy about. Like I don't even
Yeah.
know parts on a bike, dude.
Yeah.
I go to the bike shop, I'm like, I need this thing. Like I don't look at
See how that's
magazines.
broken? One of those.
Yeah, I'm like, this thing's broken. I don't know what this is called. I need it.
Yeah.
But I'm like probably the just most naturally talented at that.
Yeah.
But I like don't look at magazines. Like I don't know companies. I don't know shit, dude.
Yeah.
But like with skateboarding and woodworking, I'm like full fucking nerd, dude.
Yeah.
Like, oh
Yeah,
my
yeah.
god, this guy writes for them. You know, and like I love it. Like
Yeah.
I love it, dude.
Yeah. To your point of all the people like who have a lot of questions about like your woodworking and process and stuff like that, I like watching you answer all the Q&As, and that's really cool. But something I heard you say before, which I'd never thought about, and I think you think most people don't think about, is that your operation is a bit different from the traditional woodworker because you're making the lumber, which is wild to think about. So I don't know if you thought about this or considered this. A lot of people who do woodworking, you go to Home Depot, Lowe's, wherever you get your wood from and you start, they're making the wood. Like that's just the first
Yeah,
step,
that's
and
why-
that's
that's
such a
like-
labor-intensive process, and then you start from there.
Yeah. So people have no idea. They see the prices and they're like, "What?
Yeah.
It's crazy." I'm like, "Dog, just to get the skateboards is a process.
Right,
Like
yeah.
just to get them is a process. Then every single skateboard, you got to take the grip tape off. Then you have to take all the stickers off on the bottom. You got to use an angle grinder and grind off all the sticky residue on the top, the
Yeah.
clear coat on the top, and the paint on the bottom. Then you have a piece of lumber. Then you have a piece of wood that you can glue to another piece of wood.
Right, yeah.
So you do that with like 10 or 12 or 15 or whatever
You
decks.
have a bunch of like pump jacks that you
Yeah. Then you have to have a special press that you have to build. Then you can glue them together, and then it's basically like starting with a log and
Right.
milling.
And then now I got to
Now we can start.
And then
That's
I have my
crazy.
wood, and now I can start the project.
Yeah.
But like
flat plane it.
yeah, so it's like you know people have no idea, but like I make my lumber, and then I do the artistic stuff. You know, the woodworking stuff, which is like super and labor intensive, and like you have to. It's not like an immediate. It's a delayed gratification. Like
Yeah,
it's,
for sure.
Some of these things are like months and months.
Yeah.
and
Well, yeah, I mean,
months
depending
and
on,
months.
I mean, like you said, I mean, perfect example by here. I mean,
Exactly.
thousands, I'm sure, of boards to make.
Not thousands on this one, but definitely like hundreds. Like there's
Yeah.
hundreds in this.
What,
Crazy.
to make this,
Yeah.
small area
5 shelves.
of a shelf, which
For
is,
sure.
just long rectangle.
super labor
Yeah.
intensive. I mean, I love it, and we've like developed a process to where we've gotten it streamlined, and we've made it as so I'm sure there's better ways to do it, but
Yeah.
we've progressed and gotten it to where it's like it's streamlined, But it's people don't understand that.
Yeah. No, I'm sure.
Because they're like,
I'm sure
what?
not.
This bowl,
Yeah.
what? This bowl's $600. I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, dude. I was
Yeah.
like, go make one, and then holler at me.
Dude,
And then
I
get
was
back
like,
to me, yeah.
I was like, you can't make this in a day, dog.
No.
You cannot do it. I
Yeah.
was like, this takes like a week, bro. And I was like, think
Yeah.
about what you make in a week, like on
Right.
just a normal ass job.
Yeah.
I was like, now imagine you have employees, expenses, home, like all this. I was like,
Yeah.
you have to, like, this
Right.
is like what I'm not like, the people, like people are, it's stuff that like over time, people might understand, but
start to grip
it's like
it, yeah.
I just don't talk about it that much.
Yeah,
you know?
for sure. So I think probably before we start wrapping up here, the last thing that we really want to touch on is the Barousse Works Invitational, October 7th, right outside this window here, downtown Lafayette. So tell us a little bit, again, how did that idea come about and what has that process been like building up to it, and what's the day going to be like?
So again, I'm doing a bike ride this past November. I biked all over Texas. We raised like almost 20 something grand and to give kids free skateboards.
Yeah.
And I'm on this bike ride. It was like 810 miles all over Texas, designing my life, thinking about life, and it came to me. I'm like, man, I want to like do something really cool for my city, and I want to like invite all my friends who own skate shops and pay the guys who come skate it. Like my initial goal was to actually give every single person who shows up a check, even if it's like $25. I'm like, dude, pay for your travel, figure out how to get your food and stuff for free, show you a good time, and give you a little money. Like that was my goal, because I'm like, people just feel cool, dude. Like I just wanted to like stoke my friends out and people that I don't even know, but I know that like would appreciate it. So I'm on that bike ride and I start thinking about like, okay, what could I do? And then I was like, oh, I'll just make the world's biggest table out of recycled skateboards.
Yeah.
And I'll just let people skate it. I was like,
Yeah.
let's shut down the street, make it
Shred
on
it.
Front Street, and invite people and pay them to come skate a $30,000 table.
Yeah.
Like, let's like make something crazy.
Yeah.
And just, you know, and then I was like, okay, I'll work with like, who can I work with to like create a marketing partnership? How many businesses can I like work with to where they get increased business? You know, can I invite art vendors and food vendors to come make money? Just like anything that I do,
Involving everyone.
I try to design to where everybody wins. I'm
Yeah.
often the last person to win,
Right.
because I'm like, I feel like I'm already winning
Yeah.
just by getting to do what I want to
By
do.
having this thing happen.
Yeah, like I'm already winning, you know? So like, I'm just like, all right, how can I make it to where everybody can eat? And that's kind of where it came to me in November. And I approached Red Bull about it in December and began the process. So I've been working on it for like almost a year. And then I approached the city. I got downtown Lafayette and Lafayette Travel involved, and, you know, just stoked them out on the idea, told them the vision. And, you know, I used like I'm like, hey man, like I left this place because it wasn't cool and there wasn't opportunity. And I was like, and I'm not the only one. And I cited somebody that I met that started this business that does hundreds of millions of dollars. And I'm like, that dude left because there wasn't bike lanes here.
Yeah.
Like there wasn't shit to do here. Think of how much tax revenue the city missed out on.
Yeah.
We could have built bike lanes
Right,
with that
exactly.
guy's tax
Off all
revenue.
that.
I'm like, we need to like make this place cool, man, and because Lafayette breeds amazing, artistic,
Absolutely.
creative, and just like
Yeah.
genius people. Like
Yeah.
it breeds it, bro. But there's no opportunity.
Not
So
putting back into it.
yeah, so the people that have that like spark, they're like, dude,
They
there's
go look
nothing
for it
here.
elsewhere
They
to
go elsewhere.
fuel it.
You know, I did it, and
Yeah.
I came
Yeah,
back
for sure.
because of my family and shit. But like, so you know, when I approached the city, that's what I told them. You know, that's what I you know, sold to them. And then I also like, I'm like, yo, I like touch like millions of people online. Like, let's like use this to make it look cool. So got them on board. And then, yeah, over time, we've just been like working, getting it dialed, and it's coming together. I'm really excited
Awesome.
for it. We've got 18 skate shops from all over the Southeast. They're coming in. We should have anywhere between 75 and 100 skaters that are invited to come skate. And then all the local guys, like, they'll be here too, and there'll be a free skate for the last couple hours a day where anybody who shows up can go skate. During the contest, it's only going to be the shop riders that the shops bring, and there'll be a couple pros here as well. But yeah, dude, it's going to be sick. I'm really excited about it. I'm pumped to do something cool for my city.
Yeah, for sure. We're really looking forward to it. I think it's going to be an awesome day.
Yeah, you guys should come. I got wristbands for you.
I'm planning on being here. Yeah, for sure.
Oh, absolutely. I think, like you said, the biggest thing to me, especially I think now where I'm at, is trying to invest where I'm from rather than trying to like, there's nothing here. Which I think like breeds kind of what you were
I
talking
think
about.
that's
But
age, man.
that
I think
new-
that's like
Be the change you want to see in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
there's no
100%.
opportunity. Okay, well, perfect. I can do almost anything because I have a fresh head. Now, obviously, you have to have a city that's open to want to expand. But my
They
biggest
are.
thing is
Yeah.
why leave the place that you love so much that, like you says, has this amazing environment that creates beautiful people, amazing art, and has those opportunities. But people are like, if there's no beginning, I have to leave to go somewhere. But once you can establish yourself, come back, make it to where, okay, the people coming up behind me, they've got at least a starting point, and I can hand off, when I'm done making this beginning, I hand off the baton, you make the next step, and things like that.
Definitely. I feel this like crazy socioeconomic responsibility now, dude, to make my city cool and to provide a real opportunity for people who want to be in skateboarding in some fashion or be in like this subculture and be able to make a healthy living. Like I'm doing the math. I was like, how can I pay Leo $100,000 a year? Like that, like what do I need to do to be able to pay Leo $100,000 a year? Which isn't nothing in the grand scheme of things, but I'm like, that's at least enough to where he can get started and create opportunity. So I'm like, if I can create opportunity for him to where he can create opportunity for himself and his people, then I'm winning, dude. And like, that's like my mission right now, is like, there's like, I see, that's what's so cool about Lafayette. It breeds this like, there's such a special person that comes from here, man.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
I would say like some of the best skateboarders in the South come from Lafayette, but then there's like a lot of times they fizzle because there's like no opportunity. But like, dude, like Jordan Trahan from here, dude.
Yeah.
He's like one of my favorite dudes to watch on a skateboard. He's like the gnarliest. It's so sick, dude. And it's like it comes from this like, because there's nothing here and you gotta like create it. It makes you think differently. And he's like, he's a perfect example, dude. He's like one of the gnarliest dudes in the world, and it's like he's from here. And because there was nothing, he skates differently than anybody else. So, the sea of sameness out there of like just a really good dude from Southern California who's skating rail stairs, whatever. They look at him, they're like, dude, that's crazy. How can he do that? That's amazing. And people notice that. And people like that come from here all the time. But like I said, a lot of times it fizzles because there's no infrastructure, there's no opportunity.
Yep.
So it's like, that's the mission I'm on.
You see the ceiling.
Yeah. You see that there's like there's a cap, and then I'm really trying to like bust through that ceiling and fucking make it open.
Right,
to where
exactly,
like, yo, dude, if you want to do some cool shit, like here we could do it, So that's like 100% what my mission is right now in life.
That's what I love. That's what I love so much. Like I said, is trying to stay where I'm at, but make it better.
Yeah.
What I mean? Like find the areas that need improvement, find the areas where there's nothing, but provide that, try to make the connections.
I want to keep those special people here and make Lafayette more special, because
that's perfect.
There's a lot of them. There's so many, like, and instead of them going to Colorado or Texas or, California or whatever, like, yo, let's build this place and make it sick, because Lafayette has shit that, like, I say it all the time. I'm like, dude, you can go if you're not from here, you can go into any restaurant. It's just the food reference is the easiest thing, but you can go into any restaurant, you look at the menu, and you're going to see words you've never seen in your life. You're like, what the hell is boudin?
Yeah, exactly.
What the fuck is that, dude?
Yeah.
Like, people not from here, there's this culture here that's so rich and unique and so vibrant and so special, but it's lacking the resources to create the opportunities. So it's like, it's kind of been stagnant, and we're at the point now where like everybody that's in city council, everybody that's working for the city, all the business owners, like all the people here see it and understand, like, okay, this is our time to build. This is our time to build. And what's rad is it's small. Like, dude, I can close down the street, the main street in Lafayette, and
downtown.
throw a fucking skateboard contest.
Yeah.
Sick.
Dude, to do that in Austin, that would cost you $10 million.
Right, exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, you can't just like ask a homie.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Like here, it's like, and it's so rad because it's like, okay, we can actually use our weaknesses as our strengths.
Yeah.
There's not much opportunity. Easy to create it then.
Right.
If you create anything, it's like going to be
no other
shiny.
lane. Yeah.
Got a blank page.
Exactly. So like that's just like what I'm on, dude. I love this place. It's super special, and I want to make it cool, bro.
Yeah. Awesome. Man, I think that's a beautiful place to end it.
Okay,
So
perfect. Thank you guys. Thank you, Tanner.
thank you again.
Ryan.
Thank you again for coming on the
Appreciate
show.
you being here.
If you want, I know we just talked Barousse Works Invitational, that camera right there, if you've got anything coming up that you want to plug.
Anything coming up? No, Barousse Works Invitational, October 7th. You guys come through. Anybody's going to be able to skate it towards the end. There'll be a two-hour session for anybody who wants to skate. I want to give a big shout out to all the skate shops that work with me, all my friends who own those skate shops, all the skateboarders that I know. I want to give a shout out to Red Bull, Priority Bikes. Everybody who works with me, man. I really appreciate everything, and all the clients who have bought something from me, or the people who have just seen my social media and engaged with it at any level. I appreciate you guys, because y'all are all allowing me to live out my dream, and I'm going to do my best to take whatever resources I can get from living out my dream and help other people live their dream. So much love.
Awesome. Well, thank you again, man. Really appreciate you coming on the show. This has been a great time.
Appreciate it.
There you go. For everyone out there watching, we will have links to all of Daniel's socials down in the comments and the bio below. Make sure if you're watching, you are subscribed to the channel. If you're on one of the podcast platforms that you're following. Another episode of Shoe Podcast. We'll catch you all in the next one. Peace.